Welcome back to the Jimmy Van Heusen Cocktail Hour. I'm your host, Professor D. Step on up to the bar and let me make you an excellent cocktail. Welcome back to the Jimmy Van Heusen Cocktail Hour. I'm Professor D, as usual, and you can see that I'm dressed up for the holiday season, and I'm going to make you an excellent cocktail tonight. So I thought a little bit about what I wanted to make for this holiday video, and then how I would pair it up with a great Jimmy Van Heusen song. And I discovered a little-known Jimmy Van Heusen, Sammy Cahn penned song that was done for Frank Sinatra. It was written in 1964 and recorded in 1964, and included on a compilation album later in 1964 for Christmas called 12 Songs of Christmas that included a lot of great songs from a lot of great artists. Well, the name of the song is An Old-Fashioned Christmas, and it's a great tune. It's a very warm and kind of a comforting tune that gives you images of old-fashioned Christmases and avoidance of the bright lights in the city that I'm sure they were probably trying to get rid of back then. Now, the album did pretty well. The song is not really that well known, and if you kind of think back to the time, it was 1964 is when Beatlemania and the British invasion were really hitting the United States. And Old-Fashioned Christmas might not have been something that everybody wanted to listen to, but it's a great song. It's a warm, comforting song, and I think it fits perfect with today's cocktail, which is going to be an old-fashioned. Now, an old-fashioned is one of my favorite drinks. It includes three basic ingredients. It includes spirits, which in my case, I like to use rye whiskey because it was made originally with rye, but you can use bourbon. I mean, any type of spirit, bourbon or rye that you want to use, you certainly can. I would certainly not use your best top shelf bourbon, like Pappy Van Winkle or something like that. That would be a sacrilege. But I'm going to use Bullet 95 rye. It's probably my favorite rye. The other ingredients are bitters, which in this case, Angostura bitters is my all-time favorite. It includes a little sugar, and I like to use the Turbinado sugar, brown sugar, and then a little splash of water. So I'm going to get started on making this cocktail, and I hope you'll like it, and then mix it together sound-wise with an old-fashioned Christmas and just enjoy your Christmas and just try to relax as much as you can. All right, first thing, we're not going to use a cocktail shaker this time. We're going to use just a regular rocks glass. Now, this is a gift that was given to me, and you probably can't see it on the screen, but it says Uncle Don, and this is in honor of the Uncle Don Show, my YouTube video show that you're watching this video on. So we're going to start with a rocks glass, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of brown turbinado sugar right there inside the glass. Next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to shake up your Angostura bitters, and then we're going to do 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember in videos past when I talked about bitters being basically a seasoning for your cocktail. That's kind of the simplest thing to remember. There is an orange bitters, which you can also substitute in for regular Angostura bitters in this drink, and that can add a nice little flavor profile of orange. And what I'm basically doing here is kind of just muddling up and dissolving this brown sugar into a little bit of a slurry. Now, what I'm using here, this is makeshift for me, but I found this to be perfect. This is a bottle opener that came with a Williams & Sonoma bar kit that I got. And on the base, it's nice and flat, and it's nice and firm, metallic, and it just kind of allows me to kind of grind up this sugar and into a really nice slurry. So this is going to add some of the sweetness and a little bit of the bitter that will go into your rye whiskey. And then the next thing that we're going to do here, once you've kind of slurried that up really nice, is we're going to add an ice cube. And this time I've got some nice cubed ice that we're going to basically just drop right in the glass right there. And then the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to add 3 ounces of bullet rye. And again, this, you can use any kind of rye you want. Whistle Pig is a really good rye to use, but Bullet Rye is, I think, my favorite overall. We're going to mix that right in. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we want to stir this up really good, because the sugar doesn't completely dissolve, but stirring will help it dissolve a little bit more. And the other thing that will happen here is the stirring is going to make your drink nice and cold. And you really do want to have a nice and cold drink. Again, this is going to be something great to just sit by the fire and just kind of chill out at the end of the day. Wonderful drink. Now, the next thing that you're going to do after you've stirred it up really nice is you need to decide, well, what kind of garnish do you want to have with this? Well, there are a couple of ways to go. Usually I will do an orange peel, which is what I'm going to do today. But another thing that you can use, and I found this to be really delightful, is a maraschino cherry. Now, if you are one of those who loves those fluorescent green or fluorescent red maraschino cherries, more power to you, but you know what? There are actually better ones out there available than that. And for example, Luxardo maraschino cherries. I mean, if you've never had one before, I'd certainly recommend giving it a try in a drink like this, or maybe in a Manhattan, which I'm going to make a couple of months from now. But that's a great garnish as well. But again, what I'm going to use is my old-fashioned orange peel. I'm going to take a nice, hefty orange peel it right off, and then I'm going to squeeze some of that orange oil onto the drink. Again, that just adds just a nice little flavor profile to your drink. Swig it around the glass, kiss around the glass edge, and just twist it up, and then just drop it right in your drink. And then you've made yourself a classic drink called an old fashioned. Now, if you happen to be a Mad Men fan, there's an episode in the one season of Mad Men where Don Draper is making a Manhattan cocktail for somebody he just met at a bar, and it's a little different than this. He uses crushed ice, but he does use a little bourbon. I made one time. It was okay, but I think this is probably the best old-fashioned that you can sip on a nice cold night in front of the fireplace. So, cheers to you. And that's an outstanding drink. Now, remember, this is mostly rye whiskey, so it's a strong drink. So it really is something that you want to sip. Over time, gradually, the drink will dilute a little bit as that big ice cube you put in there melts away. But again, it's a great drink that you just want to sip on. One or two of these, and you're going to be ready for bed at night. All right, now, one thing that I'm going to try to start doing on some of these videos is I'm going to try and look at some alternatives for people who don't drink alcohol. And what I found so far in looking for bourbons that are alcohol-free is, while there are a lot of them out there, a lot of them leave a lot to be desired. Now, the first one that I'm just going to bring up here and just mention to you is Spiritless Kentucky 74. Now, the first thing that I think you need to understand when you're trying out these alcohol-free bourbons is they're not necessarily made for sipping neat. Maybe put an ice cube in a glass and dissolve and dilute just a little bit, but they're not really made for that. They do tend to be better when they're used as they mix for a drink. But again, it's a reasonable one to try. But I think when it comes to these alcohol-free bourbons, it takes some practice. It takes some looking around to find one that suits you. There are definitely great cocktails out there that are made with alcohol-free spirits. I'm on the lookout for a great alcohol-free gin to try. I've tried a couple already and have been very pleased with them. Tanqueray, my favorite gin, and Jimmy Van Heusen's gin of choice, by the way, makes an alcohol-free gin. So if anybody from Tanqueray is out there listening, feel free to shoot me a note. And if you want to send me a bottle of your best alcohol-free Tanqueray gin, I'll review it and I'll make a couple of great drinks. I'd love to try it. So, all right. So again, an old-fashioned Christmas with an old-fashioned cocktail. I'm going to go just sit by the fire this cold evening, and I'm going to enjoy this as I try to de-stress and get ready for the holidays, Christmas in particular. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and just happy holidays to everybody out there. I hope you enjoy the drink, and I hope you enjoy this song. Again, it's a very relaxing song, one of my favorites, and I'll see you all next month. Cheers.